Hello everybody and welcome back to another round of the Virtual Drift Championship, now powered by Next Level Racing, sponsored by GripRo and TireStacks.com. My name is Craig, with me as always is Tanner. What's going on, dude?
What is happening, Craig? Another wonderful day, another awesome track here at Autopolis. See, I know how to pronounce it this year. That's always a good thing. What an event. We're in for a treat. This track flows super well. The drivers seem to be settling in really good during practice. And I mean, the championship standings are just closer than ever with only 2 rounds to go after this one. With T-Con sitting at 382, Zach and Alan both sitting at 369 together. So they're really going to be duking it out for the championship here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll go right to the line map for today here at Autopolis with a brand new layout. So start of the track on your right hand side of the screen. And entering into your first decel zone at clip 1, your first outside zone, back down to clip 2, your first inside clip, back out to clip 3 for your next outside zone, and then a big sweeping transition into clip 4, your next inside clip, back out to clip 5, down to clip 6 for your next inside clip, and then riding the outside of that last and final turn for clip 7. Massive outside zone out there. Basically the reverse of our 2020 layout, but with that big change to that last and final turn there. But it looks like we have our first driver at the line ready to go, and it's Dan Dirks. And Dirk's entering in and flying through the course so far, a little inside on that clip 1. So that clip 1 is placed just onto the track and not the rumble strip, to show that drivers need to stay off that inner rumble. But keeping it going is Dan Dirks in his E46. And there he goes across the finish line for run 1 of the day.
Yeah, first run coming in, and scores will be coming in shortly too for him. And so his first run there with an 84.3 for Dan Dirks. So not a bad way to start out for Group 1. Let's see what Pavel has for us in his rotary-powered S14. One of the few rotary cars left hanging around as we see him initiate in. Doing good through that inside clip and out to that outer zone. Just touching that rumble strip through the inside clip. Looking good, carrying lots of speed. Not as deep into the next inside clip as he could be, but doing a great job putting that tire right on that white line all the way around to the finish. That was very nice by Pavel.
Yeah, not a bad start to the day for Pavel Gross there. And 85.7 on the board, and we're on to Luciano for his first run. He's wearing that new livery on his BMW and looking good through initiation. Filling that outside zone too, a little off of inside clip 2 as well as 3. It continues on, and look at that, setting into the last and final outside zone, riding that white line. And I'd have to say he got all the points he could in that last zone.
Yeah, after that weird bobble, just sent him offline, but he did make up for it at the latter half of the course, and an 86.3, so something to be happy about and maybe improve upon on the second run. So we have Brandon Gardner in the Infinity, ready to go for his first run here of qualifying. Initiates in right angle off that initiation, coming through nicely. It's a very fast course for these drivers, and it's nice to see the way they're handling these cars through it. Brandon comes up to the final outside zone now, tries to keep it within the zone. He does. Just pushing out onto those rumble strips near the end, but finishing it out strong.
Yeah, he sure did. Great way to finish the track there. Almost coming off of it and dropping a tire, but he kept things going and gets a 90.3 on the board. We're quickly on to Vicaris. Turning in his BMW. And a big swing on the entry. Good line though. It's very small bobbles there, keeps it going. Again, really nice line through the course here from Vicaris. Last and final transition, drives off that edge just a little bit, but works it back up. There he goes, across that finish line.
And Vaqueros there with a 85.3. So again, not some bad scores starting off, already in that mid 80s and 190. Now we have Austin Zaleski. We'll see what he can do in that beautiful A90 Supra. Fast initiation coming through that inside clip. Not as deep as he could have been in that outer zone. Pushing out wide now. Grabbing the next inside clip as close as he can. One last transition into this outer zone. He's on the white line. Looking good for Austin's first run.
Yeah, not bad at all from Austin Zalewski there, and an 88 on the board. And if you've been watching this season, it seems like the average has been around 87 to 89 to make it on into the top 32. That area might just end up being the danger zone. Here's Victor Lacheras flying through turn 1. Keep things going on a very nice line, dropping up onto that rumble just a little bit. Smooth transition. Sort of takes his time coming into that last outside zone, and I think it paid off. That was a clean run from Victor Lacheras there.
Yeah, Victor on a very smooth line. Hit all the spots, put the car where it needed to be as we wait for his final score to come in there. And just a little bit under Brandon with a 90 flat. So we have Andreas Lene in his A90 Supra. See if he can match the 90 of Austin there. Or sorry, of Victor as he comes in. Pushes out wide to that outside. Tries to fill the whole zone. Gets the inside clip nicely. Getting up on the rumble strip just a little bit. But holding good angle. And making it around that final outer zone as well. So he will get points on the board. And looking smooth out there today is Andreas.
Yeah, and Andreas recently picking up a VR headset and switching to VR. And holy moly, 91 and a half on the board for Andreas. Fantastic.
Well, the VR headset's working.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're on to Marcus Lundquist. Maybe having trouble seeing the light, but he is off. I believe third season in this car. And looking good through turn 1. Grabbing that inside clip. Small bobble there, maybe a little bit too inside on that inside clip 3, but setting into the last turn so close. Oh, and there just half a tire drop off the back of that outside zone from Marcus there.
I do give him commitment level. Just left the foot planted, and we can make this work with an 81.7 for Marcus's first run, as we have our last driver already of Group 1 for the first set of runs, Kevin Stump in the S15. Coming off of that 400Z that he was rocking at the beginning of the year, I believe. Looking good out there so far, really dialed in, missing out on that inside clip just a little bit, but holding it together, getting up on the rumble. Can he keep it on the white line? He manages to do so. What a run. He's looking very solid in that S15 now.
Absolutely planted throughout that run, Kevin Stump. And an 89.3, so solid score from Kevin. And we're quickly back around to Dan Dirks for his second run of the day. Coming off at 84.3. And maybe want to better that to be safe on making it into the top 32. Good transition across. Looking better throughout this run so far. Good line there. Sets into the last and final outside zone. Keeps things going. There he is across that finish line. He might just better that previous score of an 84.3. And he does a 90.7 on the board for Dan Dirks.
Very good for Dan. That was a very clean run for him. Definitely buttoned up the few mistakes he had on his first one, and maybe got rid of the pre-qualifying nerves a little bit. As we move over to Pavel now, sitting on that 85.7. One of the few rotary cars left, really flying into that first outer zone. Had to make a big correction, or first inside zone, had to make that big correction into the outer. Now he's pushing down for the latter half of the course. One last transition into that final outer zone. He's staying on it and doing a good job at keeping the car where it needed to be.
Yeah, overall pretty smooth throughout from Pavel. And 89.3, so betters that 85.7. It may just be safe on making it into the top 32. And here's Luciano Conero. And with second run, 86.3 on the first, and makes a big correction there through turn one. Keeps things going though. A little off of that last and final inside clip. Sets in nicely to the last and final outside zone though. Once again here in turn two, or excuse me, run two. But I'm gonna have to guess with those mistakes, it's either gonna be close to that 86 or maybe less. So we'll have to wait and see. That's gonna be enough. Yeah, 76.3.
Yeah, just a few mistakes, not really putting the car in the zones and putting it where it needed to be. But Brandon Gardner, our first driver to get a 90.3 today. Let's see what he can do on his second run. Right to angle again off that initiation, grabbing the inside and out of zone. Looking good. He is hauling through this course as we see him come through that final inside clip and make the final transition. Can he do it? Puts it on the white line and holds it, just grabbing the rumble strip at the end. But overall, very solid run for Brandon on that second one.
Yeah, committed throughout, trying to really go after it and better that 90.3, but it is going to be an 87 on the board. But may end up being a good tiebreaker for him as we move ahead to Vicaris' second run. Trying to better that 85.3 and may want to do that. So he catches a little bit of that rumble strip on the first inside clip, but flying through the power alley section here. Good transition across, sets in nicely, picks up throttle early for it. Goes way outside, almost drops a tire, but keeps it going.
A little bit more commitment in that run. That's what I like to see. We wait for his scores to come in, and a 90.7. Could today be the day where we see our first 90 qualifying for the top 32? I mean, these scores coming in, these drivers, like I said at the beginning, are so dialed in already to this track. As we have Austin sitting on that 88, throwing his Supra in. Looking decent through those first three clips. Let's see how he grabs that inside. A little far out on the inside, grabbing the rumbles just a tad, but grabbing the last inside clip beautifully. Out that outer zone and really pushing, keeping it on that white line and not touching the rumble strip either on exit. So very good from Austin.
And a 90.3 on the board for Austin Zalewski. Just 90s almost from every single driver here in the first group as we move on to Victor Lacheras. Again, just cooking it through turn one. Nicely done around those inside clips. Last and final transition. Picks up that throttle on the edge of the course. Keeps it going. And across that finish line, Victor Lacheras.
Other than not filling that second outer zone fully, what a run that was. But he still got the car in there, and that's going to show 91.3 for Victor, beating his 90, so very good job. But another man that just surprised us, Andreas Linné with a 91.5. Let's see what he can do on his second run. Good job through the first three clips, looking solid. Too far inside, though, for the second inside clip. Holding it together, just grazing the last inside clip as he comes that final outer zone and really pushing, wanting to either get a good tiebreaker score or beat that 91.5.
Either way, it did a fantastic job today here in qualifying, Andreas. It's good to see him back and doing well, and 85.7 there on his second run, but we're definitely going to see him in the top 32 with that 91.5. And here's Marcus sitting on his 81.7. And a correction there through turn one, that front washing a little bit, picking up on the angle late, but keeps it going way inside on inside three. Last and final transition, snaps into it, picks up that throttle and keeps it going. There he goes. It's going to be close with that correction through turn 1 and then being too far inside. And there it is, 81.
Yeah, so basically just 0.7 down from his original. But our final driver here of Group 1 of qualifying, Kevin Stump, sitting on at 89.3. Can he also break into the 90s? Looking good through the first 3 clips as he transitions through to this Power Alley section. And so far, holding it together beautifully, grazing those inside clips, getting into the transition, getting on that throttle, keeping it on that white line, and staying off the rumble strips as he passes through the finish.
That may be close there. We'll see if he's going to make it on into the 90s. And he does, a literal 90 on the board for Kevin Stump. And that's our last and final driver of Group 1. Guys need to chill out a little bit. Because as you can see, the current top 8 there on the top left, 90 is almost all the way down the board until we get to Pavel Gross, just falling short with an 89.3. We'll take a very short break, load in the next group of qualifying, and we'll be right back. Hello everyone and welcome back. This is round 6 qualifying here at Autopolis. And man, what a round of qualifying we already have. If you're just joining us, look at that current top 8 after the first group of qualifying. Andreas leading the pack with a 91.5 and almost all 90s down the board until we get to Pavel Cross falling again just short with an 89.3. Still super solid score. But we'll have to wait and see what the cutoff is going to be with Group 1 starting things out this way.
Yeah, and as we went into that break there, we were just chatting off air, could we see the 96.7 of T-Con, who has that's the highest score we've seen all around this season so far? Could we see that get beat, or could we even see the cutoff go from that usual 87 to 89 area and break into the 90s for cutoff?
Yeah, it would be insane, and they're on trend to do so. So we'll have to wait and see. We've got our first driver of Group 2 coming up now. Darren Baker at the line, ready to go in his GTR. Lights are on, and Darren is off again for run 1. Good snap initiation there. Clean through inside clip 1, grabbing that next outside zone. And moving throughout the course here in his GTR. Last and final transition. Leaves that outside edge just a little bit, but works it back up there. And there he is, finishing out his first run of the day.
Yeah, very strong first run there from Baker. and very strong indeed with a 91.7. So wow, that's a great way to start out for Group 2 as we move on to Peter here in the S15. Initiating in, not as deep in that first outer zone as he could have for the initiation, but making up for it on the next two clips as they come through the next inside clip, pushing hard through the power alley, really carrying a lot of speed. The last transition to the outer zone and keeping it nice and safe, putting the car right where it needed to go and finishing out the first run.
Yeah, another solid qualifying run from Peter. We saw him do well at Brno, and there it is, 89 on the board for him. We're quickly on to Mateus, teammate of Andreas Linné. See if you can put down a solid score the same way Andreas did. Does go just a bit wide for inside clip 1. Nice transition across for 2, though. Keeps things going. Really committed there before making that transition, but goes too wide. Gonna drop, yeah, it looks like 3 tires. That's gonna be an unfortunate 0 on the board for Mateus.
And our first 0 of the day, so we knew that spot. Drivers know they can go off there. No wall this time to stop them from going off course, so here comes Oliver. Oliver in that Mark IV Supra. Looking good. Missing out on that outer zone, though. Just grabbing the last little bit of it, but making up for it now in the power alley section. Transitioning for that final outer zone. Oliver looking pretty decent out there. A few things buttoned up on run 2, but overall not too bad. And gets points on the board.
Yeah, was super committed through there. I liked his throttle input. It was really, seemed like just full 100 all the way through. And 85.3 for Oliver Eppinger. Here's Erikas Jerkus. Entering in. A lot of aggression here. He's going to come up just a little short of outside zone 2. Does get the zone, but doesn't quite fill it all the way, leaving a little bit of room, but keeping things going through the course the way he should. Drives off that edge just a little bit, works it back up. And a pretty solid run from Erikas Jerkus.
Yeah, not bad at all from Erikas there. Looking really, really solid and pulls out a 91.2. And Erica's 5th in the championship standing right now, so every point and every spot's going to matter for him, as it looks like our next driver, Amestis, isn't in the server, so we will be moving on to Alan Hines. Alan Hines at the line, and it goes, lights up, and let's see what Alan Hines can put down. Tied with Zach O'Sullivan right now for 2nd place in the championship standings. And that was one fast initiation through those first 3 clips, and he is keeping up on it, going up on the rumble strips though in that second to last outside zone. Makes the transition, keeps it on the white line. Pro Drift Academy, S15, Alan Hines finishing out his first run.
Yeah, I really like the way he set into that last and final outside zone. Quickly picked up throttle and didn't let off throughout. And it earns him a good score, 90.3. Here's Zach O'Sullivan right behind him. Entering that super in and looking good in black. Filling that next outside zone. Grabbing that inside clip, keeping things going and flying through the course here. Last and final transition, picks up that throttle early. And there he goes, finishing out his first run of the day.
Wow. Just shy of that 90 mark, getting an 89 for Zach O'Sullivan's first run, but they do still have one more. So we move on to Jonathan Simpson in that 240SX, looking good on the initiation, holding the angle, getting out to that outside zone as transitions now to the next 3 clips. Oh, looks like he shallowed up a little bit there, but makes it work for the inside clip. Comes into the final outside zone, drops the tire, but quickly gets it back on track and finishes out the run.
Just a couple of mistakes here and there, but overall looking better in the car as he's progressed throughout the season. Had a little bit of trouble with that car, and these past 2 rounds really looking good in it. And here's Brian Garcia initiating in, a little bit slow to rotate on that angle, and it pushes him wide for inside clip 1 and 2 as well. Keeps things going, makes that correction, gets back down to inside clip 3, and settles into the last turn. Really close to dropping a wheel there. Picks up throttle maybe a little later than the judges want to see, but either way, he didn't really look like he dropped the tire, but it is going to be an 81 on the board.
I mean, it is only the first run. Brian Garcia has lots of mistakes to button up, but he can do it. So we move over back to Darren Baker, our new points leader, sitting on a 91.7. Let's see what he does on his second run in this GTR. Looking great through that first outside zone inside clip and the second outside zone. Coming through this little power alley section, just touching that curb. But look how close he was, that inside clip, just nicking it with that front bumper. Couldn't tell if that was maybe a tire drop at the beginning of this outside zone, but he held it perfectly all the way through.
Yeah, he certainly did. Just rode that white line all the way around it. And I don't think I saw a little puff of dirt. It is close there when you go up on that rumble strip. The rumble strip ends, and there's no track there. It's just grass. So if you stay on it too long, you will drop a tire. But either way, a 93.7. And that puts him into the #1 position. And here we go with Peter's second run, coming off an 89 and coming up a little bit short of outside zone 2. Stays on a pretty good line through the power alley section of that course. Almost late on his transition there. Judges want to see that transition happen maybe a little bit earlier and then decel after that transition rather than through it. But either way, not too bad of a run from Peter, and still looking dialed in that car.
Yeah, and an 88 for Peter's second run, which, I mean, if all goes well and 89 is being the cutoff, he's still in that top 32. But Mateus Nordingen ready to go and hopefully not get a 0 in that Pixel Esports S14. Making his way through the course so far, trying to get those points on the board. This is where he messed up on his last run. Can he keep it in the zone? He does. Those will be some good points there for Mateus.
Yeah, not too bad of a run. He did come up really shallow on outside zone 2, but either way, like, he kept the run going pretty well, and there it is, 89 on the board. So we'll have to wait and see what that cutoff is going to be, as we see a lot of 90s up on the scoreboard so far. Here's Oliver again in his Supra for run 2. Flying through turn 1, fills outside zone 2. And keeps things going, pedal to the metal. Nice last and final transition. Works back up to that white line. And there he is, finishing out run 2, and I think that might be better than that 85.3.
Yeah, and another just super planted run. Just put his foot down, and that's all I'm doing. Foot to the floor, nothing more. 89.3 for Oliver Eppinger. So definitely improving on his score. So that'll be good for him as we move over to Erikas Yurkis, sitting on that 91. Initiates in. Look at that angle right on the lock stop, taking out that inside clip just a little bit. But man, that was no hope. Just hold on to it and hope it rotates as he comes through now to the final outside zone. What a tear Erikas was on for this run. Hopefully it doesn't deduct him too much, but that was wild to see.
Yeah, really the only other thing I noticed there with that run is going just a little bit wide after the inside clip 3, which is kind of way offline there, and what judges want to see if later in battles that lead goes way outside past that inside clip 3, then Chase really has to wait for that transition to happen across the track in front of him. Judges want to see him just a little bit tighter, and that might be why that score came through in that way. But here's Alan Hines sitting on his 90.3. Smooth through turn 1, locked in on that angle. Flying through the power alley section so far here. Really nice along that inside clip 3. Good transition again, picking up throttle early. finishing out run 2.
And run 2 looked super solid for him. We'll see if it maybe betters that 90.3. There was a couple times he went up on those rumble strips, but see how much he gets deducted and matches it with another 90.3. So now the man who's second place in the standings, or third place, because they are tied, Zach O'Sullivan, sitting on his 89 for a first run. Let's see what he does on his second. Good initiation, right to lock. Look at that, through the first 3 clips and flying down to the next outer zone, and that inside clip picking it up beautifully. Zach O'Sullivan is here to prove something. Could have been a bit deeper there at the beginning, but holds it nicely through to the end.
Yeah, great run from Zach, and as you pointed out, that's really the only thing he left room on the table for, was that last and final outside zone all the way around it, and earns himself an 89.3 from Zach O'Sullivan. Here we are back to Jonathan Simpson, entering that S13 in and using a B-knuckle setup on this car. So a lot of caster jacking going on, very little trail. Car's trying to kill him everywhere he goes. And last and final transition. And there he goes across that finish line, Jonathan Simpson.
Jonathan Simpson getting an 88.3 for his run, so bettering that 83.7 and hopefully enough to make it into that top 32 as we move on to the final driver of Group 2, Brian Garcia in the Aston Martin with an 81, initiates in and looks good through the first 3. Could have been a bit deeper on that inside zone, but it won't be too big of an issue as he comes through the next 3 clips. Looking fantastic through there. Can he hold this run together for this outer zone? Puts it onto the white line, touches the rumble just a bit, but hangs onto it right at the finish. So Brian Garcia really buttoning up that run.
Yeah, not bad from Brian Garcia. It's always good to see him back in an 83.3 on the board. So we'll definitely have to wait and see if that's going to make it on into the top 32. If we continue on with these high scores, it is going to fall short. But that is going to do it for Group 2 of qualifying. Again, we'll take a quick commercial break and be right back with some more qualifying. And welcome back. This is, again, round 6 qualifying here at Autopolis. And again, just a crazy qualifying 2 groups we've had so far. Darren Baker now leading the packing, coming out of Group 2 there with a 93.7. Andreas with his 91.5 after switching to VR. Victor Lacheris right behind them, 91.3. Erikas Yerkes with his 91. Dan Dirks with a 90.7. Vicaris with another 90.7. Brandon Garner with a 90.3. And Austin Zalewski with his 90.3 to round out the current top 8 here in qualifying. We watch them get their last couple of practice runs in before we send our first driver, Łukasz Tasiemski. There he is at the line, ready to go. Lights are on and Łukasz is off for his first run of the day. And flicking that car in, but he ends up going wide there over the rumble strip, dropping a tire. So big deduction coming from that first turn there. Continues on with his run anyway, as you should. Sets into last and final outside zone nicely. And there he goes across the finish line for his first run of the day.
Is really going to have to button up that first turn there. It looks like just a little too much commitment, and it didn't really work out for him. Still gets points on the board, but heavily deducted with the 77.7. So we move over to Jake Wise in his S14. Jake Wise is going to initiate in. Send it down to that inside clip, and looking good so far here. Nicely carrying it through the course as we go through that inside clip, out to the outer, down to the last inner clip. Makes that transition, drops 2 tires though. Can he hang on to it? He can, and finish it out that run. That was close.
Yeah, it certainly was, coming really close to a 0, dropping 2 tires, and they are going to give him a 0 with the amount of speed he lost by dropping those 2 tires along that outside zone. If you did it in the lead, the chase really wouldn't have much choice but to run into that lead driver. But here's Darius Ostreka killing it through his first run. Very nice to the inside clips, filling all these zones, sets into the last and final one. Very good, keeping it going, and there he goes, finishing out his first run.
Well, Darius Ostreka, fourth in the championship right now, current rookie of the year, really making it work around this course. And now can he take the top spot in qualifying? He does, with a 94.7. Very solid run from Darius as we move over to Connor Christensen, going for his first run of Group 3. Initiates in, gets to angle, could have been a little deeper on that inside clip as he pushes out, grabs the outer zone, comes through the power alley section, putting the car where it needs to be, just grazing that last inside clip. Makes the transition work, gets on that white line, lays down the throttle pedal, and holds it all the way around. And a good, solid run from Connor Christensen.
Yeah, good on Connor there for his first run. And a 90.3 on the board for Connor Christensen, just adding to the list of 90s today. And here's Tikon Pileski right behind him. Here he goes for his first run of the day, setting in nicely to turn 1, maybe grabbing that inside clip just a little bit, but keeps it going on a nice line here. Dropping over that yellow line with the bumper just a little bit on the inside clip 3, up onto the rumble, but right onto the white line as he continues on. And across that finish line, Tikon Pileski.
The robot himself, Tikon Pileski, really putting it down. Wait for his score to come in.
We're going to have to start calling him Tikon Beat Boop Pileski.
And a 90.7 for Tikon Pileski, so not too shabby of a first run. As we move over to Maxime. Maxime initiates in that FDRX7, looking good through the first 3 clips. Pushing now into the power alley section. Holding a nice line, good angle. Just putting the car exactly where it needs to go. Maxime's really improved after switching to this car, and he's looking solid out there.
Yeah, looking real good, and it's just one of our public 2.0 cars with his own livery on there, and yeah, let's say he's got that thing dialed and looks comfy in it. So we wait on the judges. 91.7 for Maxime. Really good score on the board as we move along to Olivier. Good snappy initiation there. Does end up a little bit too inside on that first inside clip and comes up shallow for outside zone 2, but keeps it going, flying through the power alley section. A little off throttle there through inside clip 3. Settles in nicely to the last and final outside zone and across the finish line.
Yeah, good solid run there from Olivier. Really putting the car where it needed to be, and hopefully the points will come in for him. As another driver to break into the 90s, a 90.3 for Olivier. So very good for them as we have Abdulrahman Al-Shetwi now ready to go. That beautiful S15. See what Abdul can lay down here, sending it in right on the lock stops, holding it together. He transitions to the power alley section, grabbing that next outer zone and the inside clip nicely. One last transition to that outside zone. Put it on the white line, Abdulrahman, and holds it all the way around. Looking good out there today.
Yeah, and just burning the tires down all the way down the run up and everything. Oh shit, we looking for those extra 10 points from impact there with that run as we wait on the judges. And a 92.7 on the board for Al-Shetwi as we move along to William Holloway, returning in his BMW. And looking good through turn 1 so far is William. Dialed into the BMW, a little inside on inside clip 2. Really close to 3 there. Last and final transition settling in nicely. He does leave a bit of room on the table, but works back out there and finishes out his run.
Yeah, just a couple things. The odd bobble here and there, but looking good was William Holloway, and an 86 to put down for the first run, so not too bad. Clean up a few of those things, and you'll be up there with the rest of these 90s. We got Russell Jones in the S14 flying from initiation through the next 2 clips. He is on a tear, taking out that inside clip, though, for inside clip 2, and maybe even taking out 3 as well. A little too far inside for Russell Jones, but holding it together and laying down the throttle is Russell Jones, finishing out his first run.
Yeah, solid run from him. Again, our last and final driver of the group, too. 86.7, and we're back around to Łukasz Tastiemski. Had the big mistake in turn 1. Let's see if he can get it together for run 2 here. Much better. Filling that next outside zone. Down across that next inside clip. Really flying through the course here. Good final transition. Picks up that throttle as soon as that zone starts. He really hangs on to that white edge line of the course there. So I imagine that's going to be much better than the 77 that he had previously.
Oh, it's definitely got to be. And it is 10 points higher, 87 for his first run, or second run and final run of the day. So very good job from Łukasz. As we move over to Jake Wise. A lot of S14s in this group as we see Jake Wise sending it in. Looking good. Lots of angle. Good line so far through that next inside clip. Pushing out the outer zone. On a good line so far. One last transition here. Ooh, that was hard to see. Right off that rumble strip onto the white line and holds it through to the end.
Yeah, solid score from Jake Wise there, as he previously had that unfortunate 0, dropping 2 tires off the back of that last and final outside zone. Hung on to it that time and does get some points on the board, an 85 for Jake Wise. And here's Darius Ostraka coming off his 94.7 in your current #1 qualifier. And fantastic initiation. Good line there through turn 1. Continues on through this power alley section here. Last and final transition, and look at there, settling in nicely. Keeps it going. Finds that white line again and across the finish line.
Just another great run by Darius Ostraka, our current rookie of the year. Judges still waiting to input the score. Will he beat his 94.7? He doesn't, but he almost matches it with a 94 flat. So there's a tiebreaker score for you. If somebody else manages to get close. Connor Christensen sitting on a 90.3. Ready to give his final run of qualifying. Good initiation, taking out that inside clip just a little bit, not getting fully deep into the next outer zone. Holding it up on the edge and pushing through the rest of the course here. He goes into the final outside zone, putting it on that white line and making his final run complete.
Wait on those judges, and it is going to fall just a little bit shy, 87.7, but maybe a good tiebreaker for him as we move on to Tikon Pileski. And fantastic initiation, the snap, and the way he held momentum there through it was incredible. Keeps it going. Really nice to the inside clips there. Last and final transition, and does have a slight bobble there from Tikon Pileski as he crosses that finish line.
We'll see what Tikon can manage for his second run here. And finishes out qualifying with a 90 for that second run. So just shy of his better run of a 90.7. So we move over to Maxime. Maxime with that 91.7 in the FDRX7. Really looking good through those first three clips. Holding down the line, keeping the throttle pedal planted. Just grazing that inside clip on the last one there. But goes too deep. Drops the tire, gets it back on course, and keeps it going. Well, minor deduction coming through for Maxime, but overall a solid run.
Yeah, unfortunate to see him drop some tire there along that last and final outside zone, and it's going to affect that score greatly, and it's a 75, and we're moving on to Olivier with his second run coming off that 90.3. Does leave that first outside zone maybe a little early, comes up shy of outside zone 2, but keeps it going and drops off the back of outside zone 3. Last and final transition, settles in nicely to that outside edge line, but does pick up throttle maybe a little late. Either way, fully committed through that run, but there is some deductions coming after dropping some tires and coming up short on that second outside zone.
Yeah, and coming up short indeed with a second run of only 83 points. We have Alshetwi now sitting on that 92.7 in that S15, sending it in. Lots of speed, lots of angle, holding it together, bouncing it off the limiter. Alshetwi's really going for it here, grabbing the next and final inside clip before making that transition to the final outer zone, putting it on the white line right before the rumble strip. Now that is a great run there from Alshetwi.
Yeah, it certainly was. And again, did the thing where he just left the line, no traction, and stayed that way until he entered 91.3 on the board. So it does fall just a bit shy, but either way, 90.7 will see him on into the top 32. Here's William Holloway with his second run coming off an 86 and might want to better it if he wants to get into the top 32 later today. Tight to that last and final inside clip. Last and final transition. Drops the tire. Doesn't get back onto the track in time after going up onto the rumble strip. But he finishes it out anyway. We'll wait for those judges.
Should be a little bit better, and it is. An 86.3 for William Holloway's final run. So just making it a little bit better as we have our final driver of Group 3, Russell Jones. Russell Jones ready to get it down, sitting on an 86.7. He's going to want to improve that as he initiates in. Not too shabby so far. Nice and on the locks, into that nice and deep into that next outer zone through the power alley section now. Straight up onto the rumbles just a little bit, but holds the line, holds the angle, makes the transition work. Really trying to lay it all out here is Russell Jones, pushing out all the way to the end and finishing out Group 3 of qualifying.
Yeah, another fantastic group there. And a new #1 qualifier, Darius Ostraka with his 94.3. Russell Jones gets an 86.3, so falling just shy of his first run. Darren Baker with a 93.7. And Abdul Rahman Al Shetwi 92.7 on the board for your current top 3. After 3 groups of qualifying, we'll take another quick commercial break and be right back with some more qualifying here at Autopolis. Right, drivers just taking their last and final qualifying runs. And there we have Alexander Yegard at the line, ready to go. Lights are on, and he is out at the gate clean. And switching to this S14 midway through the season, and has looked good in it after switching a little bit on the inside there of that inside clip too, but keeps things going nicely through the power alley section and off the course, dropping 4 tires almost out. And that is going to be an unfortunate 0 on the board for Alexander Yegard.
It's sad to see for Alexander, but he still gets one more run to try and get some points on the board, as Claudius didn't make it into the server yet, so we move on to Mark Pretty. Mark Pretty in that Mark IV Supra, heading down for his first run here of Group 4. For qualifying of round 6 of the Virtual Drift Championship, and looking good so far through the course. Really holding his own, just grabbing that inside clip a little too much, maybe nicked it with the front bumper. Quick transition into that final outer zone, maybe a little late as he pushes through to the finish.
Yeah, it seemed like he was maybe trying to find a little bit of grip there before making that transition, and ended up being maybe just a little late, but really snapped into it anyway. And here is Magmed Omarov for his first run, turning in that fresh auto IS, and a small bobble there through turn 1, leaving that first inside clip. Really nice along inside clip too though, and 3 there. Again, you want to see those bumpers just off the yellow line, and unfortunately goes off track. back onto it. He'll keep things going, but yeah, that is going to be another unfortunate 0 up on the board.
Well, let's hope he buttons it up in the second one as we got Ethan Pikachu in his big BMW. Initiating in, looking good. Lots of angle he's holding through those first 3 clips. Transitioning down to the next inside zone, pushing out to the outer. Looking very solid here so far from Ethan as he makes the final transition, not going off course and holding it on in that outer zone and finishing out his first run.
Yeah, breaks the trend there of dropping off the course in that last and final outside zone. He did leave a little bit of room on the table, but I'm not gonna lie, I probably would have left a little bit of room on the table if I knew the other 2 drivers ahead of me flew off the track as well. And 86.74 Ethan. We're quickly on to Robert here in his 370Z and has looked good all season. Really comfortable in it. Practices a lot as always in the practice servers, getting his runs in. It looks to be paying off here through his first qualifying run of the day. Sets in nice. Does leave that outside line just a little bit, but back up onto it, crossing the finish line for a solid first run.
Yeah, very solid first run. A little bit of playing with the wheel coming through that first inside clip, but finishing it out with an 89.7, so not a bad run whatsoever as we have Kazuki Fukushi in the GT4 Celica ready to lay it down. Did very well the last round and excited to see what he can do here as he grabs that inside clip nicely, maybe just touching it with the front bumper, transitioning, hitting the front bumper, dropping a tire into the yellow, but holding it together for that last inside clip, makes the transition. Oh, that was close to the edge of the track, but holds it in that outer zone the whole way through.
Yeah, he certainly does. And keeps things going. I love seeing that car out here and doing its thing. Kazuki knows how to put in some good runs, 84.7, so he'll definitely want to better that score, but we're on to Artem Makashenko in his first run of the day, returning in his S14. And looking good through turn 1. Smooth first transition, grabs that next inside clip, and flying through the power alley section. And quite the decel coming into that last and final outside zone. He does settle in nicely to that white edge line that the judges want to see those back tires on, but it was quite the decel coming in there.
It was, but still pulls off an 89.7. This is the first group so far where we haven't seen a 90. So, Choir Bentley Mauricia in his Toyota Supra. Let's see what he can lay down here. Initiates in, lots of speed, getting a little too inside on that inside clip, not making it for the next outer zone, but really laying down the power that Supra has. Just trying to keep a nice solid line now to the transition. Goes off, that's 2, holds it together, but ends up backing out of it. And that'll be another unfortunate 0 for Group 4.
Yeah, we're on to our last and final driver of the group before we work our way back around to Alexander Yegard. And it is Masashi Yoshida. And flying through the course there and settles into a lot of angle for outside zone 2. Keeps things going. Small bobble on that first transition. Last and final one here. Settles in nicely to that last and final outside zone. Staying up on that white line. And finishing out his first run.
Yeah, Masashi was on a tear last round as well, so I'm excited to see what kind of points he puts down here for qualifying. And a 90.3, so he gets Group 4 into that 90 status and pulls out that 90.3. We're back around at the top. Alexander Yegard sitting on that 0, needs to get points on the board. Initiates in, good through that outer zone. Too far inside on the inside clip, but making it work for the next outer zone. Holds it together now for the power alley section and trying to be as smooth as he can with it, keeping the throttle down, makes the transition, this time doesn't go off course and hangs onto that white line all the way to the end.
Yeah, gets some points on the board. Good on Alexander Yegard and an 88.7, so not too shabby of a score. We'll have to wait and see what that top 32 cutoff score is going to be as we move back around to Mark Pretty in his Supra. Currently sitting on an 85. Good initiation, but picks up throttle quite late. It looks like the front maybe washed out on him on that initiation. Goes up onto the rumble. Long outside zone 3, and it makes him wide for that inside clip. And then off track again here in Group 4.
Getting catching Group 4 out a little bit here, you know, and that's weird to see from Mark Pretty's driving as well. He's done very good in previous rounds, so maybe just not the day for him. But we'll move over to Magomed Omarov. Magomed is sitting on a 0, needs to get some points on the board. Initiates in, looking good through the first outside zone, grabbing that inside clip and pushing that IS300 all the way to that outer zone. And looking good so far, keeping the car where it needs to be, holding that angle, getting the next inside clip, makes the transition, and holds it in the outer zone and keeps the throttle planted and actually gets some points on the board.
Yeah, he certainly does. Now, it does look like he did drop maybe a tire off the back of that last and final outside zone as he settled into it. But yeah, as you said, he gets points on the board, and we're back around to Ethan for his second run, currently sitting on an 86.7. And entering in, leaving that first outside zone super early, and that makes him go up on that first inside rumble, taking out that inside clip and then ending up shallow for that next outside zone. Last and final transition as he continues on through this course. Ooh, and dropping just a bit of tires. We see a little bit of dirt pop up. There he goes across that finish line.
And not bettering the score, getting an 80.3 on top of his 86.7 from his first run, sitting on an 89.7, and at the line is Robert. Robert in that beautiful 370Z, ready to give his second run of qualifying. The light goes solid and off he goes. Let's see if he gets into the 90s. He in through that first outer zone clean, down to that inside clip, little far inside, nicking it with his front bumper, but making the outer zone work as he comes through the power alley section out, holding good angle and drawing a good line. Now for the transition, keeping it in that last outer zone, really pushing hard, trying to better that 89.3.
Yeah, with that run, it's going to be close as we wait on those judges to enter their scores. And look at that, 89 just falling shy as we move along to Fukushi back around in his Celica. And flicking that car in hard. Keeps things going, filling that next outside zone. Good transition, a little tentative on throttle, but flying through that next inside clip. And back up to the edge of the course and finishing out his second run.
That was a nice clean run there by Kazuki, really buttoning up his first run and getting an 88.3. So very good. And I mean, with the cutoff currently being 85, that's going to be good for him as we move over to Artem Masachenko. Artem initiating in and sitting on an 89.7 as well, doing good to the first 3 clips. Transitioning down to the power alley section, grabbing that outer zone nicely. Could have been a little more inside to that final inside clip. A bobble coming into that final outside zone, but making up for it and pushing back out to the edge and finishing out his run.
Yeah, not too bad again from Artem there, trying to better the 89.7 and comes up short with an 85. So we move around to acquire Bentley Maurizia in his Supra. Going for a big initiation, drives off that outside line early, hitting that inside clip and up onto the rumble. Again, shallow on that next outside zone, but flying through the power alley section of the course here is Squire Bentley Maurizia. And leaving that last and final outside zone completely there on that last turn.
Looks like he had a lot of grip in that car, and the car just wasn't reacting to his inputs. He ends up with a 73. Not enough to get into qualify or into the top 32 today, but can this man, already sitting on a 90.3, Masashi Yoshida going for his second run and the final run of Group 4, going too far for that inside clip, taking it out with the front bumper, but making up for it now with the next 3 clips, just grabbing that inside clip beautifully, makes the transition into the final outer zone in that big R33 of his, putting it down and laying it down and hoping to improve on that 90.3.
Yeah, and a wild card driver coming from our wild card event, Masashi Yoshida, doing fantastic once again and matching his score of a 90.3. So he rounds out Group 4 of qualifying as we see that top 32 cutoff just move up and up. William Holloway now in that 32 position with an 86.3. So we'll take, again, another small break as we load in the next group. And we'll be right back with some more qualifying again here at Autopolis. All right, welcome everybody back again. This is round 6 qualifying here at Autopolis, and what a round of qualifying so far. So many 90s up on the board, and Darius Ostreka still leading the pack with his 94.7 as we watch these drivers take their last little bit of practice runs. Each driver gets 2 practice runs before we send them off for their first runs of qualifying.
We're already down to our last 2 groups as well. Only this group of 10 and then a group of 3, and then we're done for the day.
Fantastic. Just zooming on through, and all these drivers just seem super planted and dialed throughout this course. A couple of them going off the back of that last and final outside zone, but I'll tell you, I mean, that's a very easy thing to do here on this course. You are absolutely flying through that inside clip 3, and somewhat of the trick to do is to go ahead and start adding your angle and preparing for that last and final transition as you work your way around that last and final inside clip we're looking at here on the live stream. And just really sets you up early for the transition, lets you do it along that rumble strip to your left there. And just, you know, gives you a chance to settle into that turn and almost eliminate the decel zone there. There is a slight decel zone coming into that last and final clip, but overall it is tricky to get, and especially once you add the nerves in as well to qualifying, it can get really tough. And here we have Lazam at the line in his Supra and leaving it and on for his first qualifying run of the day and entering in nicely. Smooth line, locked into that angle. Good transition there as he flies through that next inside clip. Keeps things going. And again, along that rumble strip there, settles in nice to the last and final outside zone. Lazam Asal finishing out his first run.
Yeah, Lazam very strong first run here for Group 5 as well. We'll see what he comes up with. And an 89 for the first run of Group 5. Very well done. Jordan El Nasser now at the line in that Dodge Viper. Ready to get some points on the board. Come on, Jordan. Bends it in, grabbing that first outside zone. Drives off it a little early, but makes it work for the inside clip and the next outer zone. Really holding it together, maybe taking out that front clip with his front bumper and doing the same on the next inside clip. Can he hold it together, putting it right on the line, maybe dropping a little bit of tire there, but holds it together was Jordan El Nasser.
Yeah, really close to dropping too much off the back of that outside zone. He does a fantastic job keeping it together, and apparently we got a pound REF explanation. Ref 77.5 on the board for Jordan, but good job really going after it there for his first run. But he'll definitely want to button it up for his second if he wants to get into the top 32 later on today. And here's Cormac Guard back in his old livery here. And entering in nicely. Very smooth through turn 1 so far here. Good transition. And there he is, using that clutch. Once more. Twice more, 3 times the lady, and across the line, Cormac Guard.
Really clutch kicking it, making sure it can, that clutch is working, that's for sure. We wait for his final score to come in from the clutch kicking Cormac Guard. An 88.7, so enough to push him up into that top 32, but that top 32 is going to start closing really quickly as we got Logan Daniels sitting on the line in that crazy S15 of his. Let's look at it. It comes down the line, initiates in. Looking good on initiation through that first inside clip. Holding a good line and angle. Makes the transition maybe a little tiny bobble with a wheel correction, but looking solid. One last transition to go. Pushing it out to that white line. Holding it around. Logan Daniels throwing it down for his first run of qualifying.
Yeah, Logan looked really good throughout practice, practicing with these guys. And he was in there pretty often in the practice server, putting in that work and trying to make sure that he makes it into top 32 today. And there he is, into top 32 so far with his 89 on the board. And here's Brandon Patrick revealing his new livery along with that Triple F performance. And looking good through turn 1 here. Said he wasn't feeling too comfortable throughout this course, but he's looking that way now through his first qualifying run as he sets in to this last and final outside zone, keeps things going. And there he goes, finishing it out.
Well, if he was worried, I mean, Brandon Patrick, you just laid down a pretty solid first run there, so I think you're doing all right. And an 87 for Brandon Patrick, so yeah, you can even make it up into the 90s, my guy. We got Caja Salunas now in the BMW with that big wing hanging off of it as we see him initiate in, getting to angle, trying to push that car out to that outer zone. A little correction there to make it work. Misses out on that inside clip, but drives back down to grab the second one. Now the transition to that final outside zone. Again, another little bobble there from Cajas, trying to hold it together and finishing out his first run of qualifying.
Yeah, not too bad from Cajas there for his first run. Just that big angle correction there coming into the last and final outside zone. 84 on the board for Cajas. As we move along to Augusto. Finally returning to us midway through the season and looking good here in his second round of the season here. A little inside on both those inside clips there, but keeps things going. Nice transition along that edge. And there he goes, finishing out his first run of the day, Augusto Ferreira. Putting a little extra spice there at the end.
Augusto coming in with an 86.7, so gonna have to improve it a little bit, but looking good so far as we have Victor Alves now, also in an S15. Ready to lay it down. What can Victor do for us here today? Looking good on initiation through that first inside clip. Holding a good line and angle. Little wide there for that second inside clip, but making it work for the final one. One last transition, very snappy into that outer zone. And holding it all the way around Victor Alves.
Yeah, trying to make a statement there with that run. Had a nice little preview clip that he posted the other day and looked comfortable in that clip as well. 91.3 on the board for Victor Alves. And here's Daniel Mora and his BMW. Entering in nicely. Really moving through turn one. Very smooth so far as well. Into that last and final outside zone. And look at there, all the way up onto the edge. Really thought we were going to see some dirt there, but I don't think I saw any, and he kept things going.
Daniel Mora definitely good there, pushing it right out to that track edge. We'll see what he can come up with. A 90 flat. So very good job there from Daniel Mora as we have Wojciech on the line. And the final of the first runs for Group 5. Not many left to go. This Group 6 only has 3 drivers. He initiates in, little tentative there of the initiation, but starting to make it work now. He's pushing through the latter half here, getting right up on those rumbles though. Making it work as he comes back down, getting the transition done, holding it around that outside zone. And overall, not too shabby there from Wojciech.
Yeah, not a bad run at all. I did see a puff of dirt off the back of that outside zone 3 as he dropped onto that rumble strip and off the back of it. And it's going to be an 83 on the board for Wojciech as we move back around to Lazam for his second run. So he enters that A90 Super End, coming off an 89. And looking good through that inside clip in the next outside zone, as well as that one, just a solid power alley section. Good last and final transition as he sets into the last zone. And there he is, riding the edge all the way around.
They looked very solid in that run. Lizam really went for it, and went for it indeed with a 93.7 for Lizam. Very good. New cutoff now for the top 32 at an 88.7. Jordan El Nasser sitting on a 78.3. He is in the danger zone. Initiates in. Looking good, not as deep into that outer inside clip as he could been, but makes it up for that outer zone, dropping a tire through that next inside clip. He's just pushing down the throttle of that Viper, trying to hopefully improve maybe on this run, holding it through that outside zone. Can Jordan El Nasser get out of that danger zone?
Yeah, it's going to be a little close, being wide on inside clip 1 and then too far on the inside for the next 2 inside clips. But overall, it was an improvement. 86 on the board for Jordan. And here's Cormac Guard with his second run of the day. Flying through turn 1, going wide for inside clip, but grabs that next one. As well as the next, utilizing that clutch once more. Settles into the last and final outside zone. And clutch kicking across that finish line.
Sounds like me drifting my old A86. Just whoop-a-ba, you know, all the clutch kicks. So an 88.3, sorry, correction for the top 32 spot right now. The Cormac Guard with an 86.3, but already has an 88.7. So we'll see him hopefully into the top 32s. This score is ever changing, sitting on an 89. This man here, Logan Daniels, tearing through the first 3 clips, going a little far inside for that next inside clip, but making it work for the final 2. Comes into the last outer zone, holding it nicely all the way around that outer zone, and finishing out his second run of qualifying.
Yeah, Logan trying to, you know, make it a little bit safer for him, sitting on that 89 as that cutoff point creeps higher and higher, and there it is, 91 on the board, so he betters that 89. And we are on to Brandon Patrick for his second run in the Ferrari. Coming off the 87, needs to better it if he wants to get into the top 32. Looking good so far here. A little bit up onto the rumble, but gets him around that next inside clip. And so close there along the edge, leaves it just a little bit, gets back out there, crosses the finish line, and we'll wait on those judges.
Now that was a save. Knew it was going to go off course, did some clutch magic and got it to come back and gets an 89, which pushes him up into the top 32. Cages Alunas sitting on an 84. Gonna need to improve. Here he goes. Second run and final run of qualifying for Cages. Initiates in. Looking good so far. Hold that angle out. Gets the next outer zone. Transitions into the inside clip. Looking good here. Just taking out that last inside clip with his front bumper. Transitioning onto that last outer zone. This run is looking way better than his first run. Cages Alunas.
Yeah, dialed in on that run coming off an 84. Again, needs to better that 84 if he wants to make it into the top 32. Waiting on those judges. And a 90.3, so he does. He makes it into the top 32. And here is Augusto Ferreira. Again, second run. 86.7 on his first. Needs to better this one. And settles in nicely to the first turn. Very small angle correction coming into that next outside zone. And a big one there through the power alley section. Straightens up quite a bit coming into outside zone 3. Transitions nicely into the last and final one. And there he is across that finish line, really going after trying to better that 86.7. But with those corrections, is it going to be enough?
Will it be enough? Augusto Ferreira coming in with an 87, so that will fall short of the top 32. Victor Alves already sitting on a 91.3, though. Can he improve? Can he maybe go after the top spot in qualifying? Looking great through those first 3 clips, really holding that angle in line. Grabbing that last inside clip beautifully. Makes the transition very snippy. Maybe just grabbed a little bit of dirt there. That was close to the edge.
I saw no puffs.
Wow.
So close there. I'm not sure that might be
was on
close
the edge,
enough
literally.
to even call it. Can we say a 16th of a tire?
Right? Just the edge of that contact patch, just riding around just the edge of that tarmac. It was beautiful to see there.
Certainly was, and he ties his previous score with a 91.3. And we're on to Daniel Mora coming off his 90. Using all of the track that he can there on that initiation. Grabs that next outside zone, does leave a little bit of room there. Good on that inside clip though, and back down to the next one. Maybe leaving just a little bit of room there. And settles in nicely to the last and final outside zone. Overall smooth again from Daniel Mora.
Yeah, Daniel Mora looking very smooth on that run. And little deduction there, down to an 88 for his second run, but keeps that high score of a 90. Now for the final driver of Group 5, only 3 more to go after this. Wojciech, sitting on that 83, needs to get to an 88.7 or higher to make it into today's top 32. Really going for it here is Wojciech, doing a good job so far through this course. One last transition, throwing it in, putting down the power, trying to get above an 88.7. Will he do it?
It's going to be close. And then we also have those last 3 drivers as well. So you might even want to, make it a little bit higher. And an 89.3 on the board. So he does make it into the current top 32. But again, we've got one more very small group coming up of just 3 more drivers. So we'll take our last and final commercial break, and we'll be right back with some more qualifying again here at round 6 Autopolis. All right, everybody, welcome back again. This is round 6 here at Autopolis, and what a fantastic qualifying session so far. Darius Ostraka still leading the pack, though, with his 94.7. Darren Baker right behind him with a 93.7. And Lazama Sao coming out swinging with his 93.7 as well to round out top 3. And just a boatload of 90s throughout qualifying. And that top 32 cutoff just keeps creeping higher and higher.
Yeah, what an insane, like, if by the looks of it, we're going to have an 89 cutoff. Like, that is just insane, the level of driving these guys are bringing this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And just 3 more drivers in this last and final group as well. But a strong group, Mustafa, Dimitri Mitten, and Reese Tatterson all in this group here as we go back to the line here as they take their last and final practice runs before we send them off.
What a qualifying this has been. I mean, so many people up into the 90s, so many people really coming home and, you know, kind of coming at it with this course and really able to feel it out and have fun with it. And I mean, we only got 2 more rounds left. The championship battle's close. 2nd and 3rd are tied right now at 369, with T-Con not too far ahead, only with a 382. So it's anyone's game still. Every point matters. Every quality position matters. Every battle matters now when we come into these final, 3 rounds. So super excited to see how it's going to play out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think these 3 drivers are going to mix this qualifying up just a little bit here as Mustafa's at the line. Lights are on. And he is at the gate. And burning the tires down all the way as he enters that car in. Very nicely through turn 1 so far here as Mustafa flying through the power alley section here, a little bit on the inside of that last and final inside clip. Last transition does look like he dropped maybe a little bit of tire there along that grass as that rumble strip ends. And there he goes across that finish line with a solid first run.
Let's see if it's enough to get him in. An 86.3 for Mustafa, so he will have to improve that run. Dimitri Mitten now ready to go. Dimitri Mitten initiates in, gets that outer zone clean. He's on his angle, coming through that inside clip beautifully. Comes through the next inside clip, holding that line. Angle comes a little far inside for that clip, not too much though, just enough to make it that bumper. Makes the transition work for this outer zone. Dimitri Mitten putting it down and hoping to beat that 87.7.
It's going to be tough, all on the line here in these last 3 qualifying runs from these drivers. And a 92.7 on the board for Dimitri Mitten as we move along to Reese Tatterson for his first run of the day. Last and final driver of qualifying, entering in nicely to turn 1, really pouring on the angle, leaves outside zone 2 maybe a little bit early, picks up that next inside clip, stays off that rumble, keeps things going through that power alley section, and a little hesitation there before making that transition into the last and final outside zone, but there he goes, finishing out his first run.
Wow, Reese Tatterson throwing it like that, angle coming out of outside 2, that was a lot of angle. And an 89.3 there for Reese Tatterson. Back around to Mustafa Amine. He comes up to the line, 86.3. He has some work to do. Because now I believe with that 89.3 and the 92.7, he will need an 89 or higher to get into the top 32. Initiates in, lots of angle, holding it together through that inside clip, a lot cleaner this time. Making it through, not touching that inside clip, but as close as he can get to it, maybe a little tiny correction coming through that second outside or inside clip. But look at that transition into that final outer zone. Mustafa Amine putting it down.
Yeah, really going after. He does drop just a little bit of tire into that last and final outside zones. We saw that dirt puff pop out. But look at there, 90.3, and he makes it into the top 32 as we move along to Dimitri Mitten and his second run coming off of 92.7. He's already into the top 32 and into the top 8 of qualifying as well. Looking smooth here through a second run. Last and final transition makes it maybe a little bit late, and there he is going off track, back onto it, and a big deduction coming there for a second run.
And that would have been such a beautiful run if he would have kept that together. That was looking on point. But still in the top 32 at the 92.7, 89.3. Reese Towers wants to move up higher in that 32 bracket. Let's see what he can do here. Holding that angle down in the second Pro Drift Academy car. Really keeping it together, not going too far inside for that clip this time. Oh, just grazing the second inside clip. Reese Tatterson putting it down, keeping that power foot planted. Putting it across the line. Will he improve that 89.3?
Yeah, and it's going to be close. He wasn't as tentative on that last and final transition, and there it is. He betters it 91 on the board, so makes it into the 90s, and you see that cutoff. An 89 on the board today is what it took to get into top 32. We'll let the judges sort everybody and really verify that that is our top 32 round out there with Peter, and if he's going to be the one making it in, because I think there is maybe a couple of other drivers that do have 90s, and it depends on that lower score that sometimes this board we have up on the live stream doesn't account for that, the way some of these drivers here are tied. Darren Baker and Lazam with their 93.7s. It unfortunately doesn't take that lower score into account until we sort them after the top 32. But again, what a round of qualifying. Yeah, just insane.
This is a battle. Is like, don't make sure you hit the bell. You don't miss out on top 32 later today, because it is going to be a dogfight. Look at these scores now that the sheet has been reset. Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does look like Peter is going to be our last and final driver that makes it on into the top 32 with his 89 on the board. But still, Darius Ostraka hanging on to that 94.7 and finishing first here in qualifying.
Yeah, Darius Ostraka came out swinging. Again, sitting fourth in the championship. He's not out of contention yet. He could still get enough points to win the championship, but he's got Zach O'Sullivan. He has Pecon Plesky in first, and he also has Alan Hines trying to fight for that spot as well. So it's, again, anybody's game right now, and that's what I mean by every point matters. These last 3 rounds, every point matters no matter what. Get higher up in qualifying, get more points. Move farther in the top 32, top 16, get more points. It's all about points now to make it to who can win that championship.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so awesome to see a new driver as well up in that top 5, sitting 4th right now, and rookie of the year. I mean, just insane.
Yeah, but I mean, Zach O'Sullivan, he knows how that feels too, being a rookie of the year himself. So he knows what it's like to be that new guy and come in and come out swinging.
Yeah, absolutely. Just doing a fantastic job last season in his S chassis, and then looking even better now that he's switched to the Supra. He's really settled into that car and has looked good all season long, and held the lead for a while until last round with the last and final battle with T-Con and Allen. What a crazy final battle it was at Brno. But again, rolling right into the qualifying here at Autopolis, and this brand new layout that I thought might have been a little tricky for him, but they proved me wrong today, and and
they
really
liked it better than the original layout.
Apparently, yeah. And if you're wondering where this track is and where you can get it, it hasn't quite been released yet. We will be releasing it after the main event later today, so we're going to take about an hour break here, shut this stream down. We'll put up the next event shortly, And we'll see everybody back for top 32 here, round 6, Autopolis.